There's a moment in every relationship with an avoidant where you feel it. That cold pull, that sudden distance. One day they're warm, they're close, they're texting you like you're the only person in their world. And the next day, silence, a wall, a version of them you don't even recognize. And you sit there wondering what you did wrong. You replay every message, every word, every laugh, looking for the mistake. But here's the truth nobody tells you. You didn't do anything wrong. You did something terrifying. You got too close. You made them feel something real. And for an avoidant, real feelings are the most dangerous thing in the world. Because here's what nobody understands about avoidance. They're not cold. They're not heartless. They're not incapable of love. They're scared of it, terrified of it. And the closer you get, the more they pull away. Not because they don't want you, but because they want you too much. And that scares them more than losing you ever could. So today, I'm going to show you the signs, the real signs, the ones they will never admit, the ones they probably don't even understand about themselves. And by the end of this video, you're going to see your situation completely differently. I promise you that. But before we go deeper, I want you to do something for me. If you've ever loved someone who couldn't love you back the way you needed, type one word in the comments below. Just type the word seen. That's it. Just seen. Because I want you to know you're not alone in this. And I read every single comment. So drop it down there and let's keep going. Now let's talk about the first sign. And this one is the one that confuses people the most. They get close and then they vanish. Not forever, just enough to make you panic. Just enough to make you question everything. You'll have an incredible night together, a deep conversation, a moment where you felt like you saw the real them. And then, nothing. A day goes by. 2 days, 3. And you start thinking, did I imagine that? Did that even happen? Was I making it up in my head? And here's the thing, you weren't making it up. It was real. It was so real that it terrified them. Because when an avoidant feels something deep, their brain doesn't say, this is wonderful, let's lean in. Their brain says, this is dangerous, run. So they run. Not because you weren't enough, but because you were too much of the right thing. And that's the part that breaks your heart, because you can't even be mad at them. You just feel confused. You feel like you're chasing a ghost. And the worst part, they'll come back. They always come back. Right when you've started to let go, right when you've started to heal, they show up again like nothing happened. And you let them in, because part of you still believes that if you just love them harder, they'll finally stay. But love doesn't fix avoidance. Patience doesn't fix avoidance. Being the perfect partner doesn't fix avoidance. Only they can fix it. And until they decide to, you're going to keep dancing this same dance. Closer, further. Closer, further. Until one of you breaks. Let's talk about the second sign. They make you feel like you're too much, too emotional, too needy, too sensitive, too clingy. And the wild part is, you're probably none of those things. You're probably a completely normal person with completely normal needs. You want to be texted back. You want to know where you stand. You want to feel chosen. That's not needy. That's human. But to an avoidant, any need feels like a demand. Any request feels like pressure. Any expectation feels like a cage. And they'll communicate that to you. Not always with words, but with sighs, with eye rolls, with long pauses before they respond, with that look that says, why are you making this so complicated? And slowly, you start to shrink. You start asking for less. You start texting less. You start hiding your feelings. You start pretending you don't care as much as you do, because you've learned that caring scares them away. And here's what nobody tells you about that dynamic. It's not love. It's performance. You're performing a smaller version of yourself just to keep them comfortable. And one day you'll wake up and realize you don't even know who you are anymore. You've spent so much energy managing their fear that you've forgotten your own desires, your own needs, your own voice. And that's the cost of loving someone who's scared to love you. You don't just lose them, you lose yourself. The third sign is something I call the future fog. Ask an avoidant about the future and watch what happens. Watch their face, watch their shoulders, watch how they shift in their seat, because suddenly this person who was so present, so engaged, so connected becomes vague, foggy, distant. They'll say things like, let's just see where this goes, or I don't want to put a label on it, or my personal favorite, I just live in the moment. And listen, living in the moment is beautiful, but when it's used as an excuse to avoid commitment, it's not mindfulness. It's avoidance dressed up in pretty words. Because here's the truth. When someone is genuinely excited about you, they want to build something with you. They want to plan. They want to imagine. They want to talk about next month, next year, next vacation. Not because they're rushing, but because they're hopeful. Avoidants are not hopeful. They're hesitant. They're guarded. They keep one foot out the door at all times. Because in their mind, the door is the only thing keeping them safe. And if you ever try to gently close that door, even just a little, they panic. They'll create a fight out of nothing. They'll suddenly remember all your flaws. They'll find a reason to pull back because the door staying open is more important to them than you staying close. And that's the most painful realization of all. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but they told me they love me. They told me I'm special. They told me they've never felt this way before. And I believe you. I believe they said all of that. And I believe they meant it in the moment. That's the thing about avoidance. Their feelings are real. They just can't sustain them. Because the moment those feelings get too big, too overwhelming, too real, their nervous system goes into shutdown mode. It's not a choice. It's a reflex. It's something that was built into them long before they ever met you. Probably in childhood. Probably from a parent who was inconsistent or critical or emotionally unavailable. They learned very young that needing people was dangerous. That depending on people led to disappointment. That the safest thing in the world was to never let anyone get too close. And then you came along. And you broke through. And for a moment, they let you in. And it felt incredible, and it felt terrifying. And the terror won. Sign number 4, they push you away when you're at your best. This one is so cruel because it makes no sense at all. You'd think that when things are going well, an avoidant would relax. They'd lean in. They'd enjoy it. But it's the opposite. The better things get, the more they panic. Because good feels unfamiliar. Good feels suspicious. Good feels like something they're going to lose. So they sabotage it. They start a fight after the most romantic weekend. They go cold after the most intimate conversation. They disappear after the most vulnerable moment. And you're left holding all of that beauty by yourself, wondering how something so good turned into something so painful overnight. And let me tell you something. This is not your fault. This is not because you said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing. This is their nervous system doing what it was trained to do. Protect them from you, from love, from the very thing they secretly want most in the world. And until they're willing to look at that, until they're willing to feel that, until they're willing to do the work to change that, you're going to keep getting punished for being good to them. Read that again. You're going to keep getting punished for being good to them. Sign number 5. They give you breadcrumbs and call it a feast. A breadcrumb is a small piece of affection, a small piece of attention, just enough to keep you hooked, just enough to keep you hoping. A text after 3 days of silence, a compliment after a week of coldness, a burst of warmth after a month of distance. And what does your brain do with those breadcrumbs? It treats them like gold. Because when you're starving, even a crumb feels like a feast. But here's the thing. You're not supposed to be starving in a relationship. You're supposed to be nourished. You're supposed to be filled up. You're supposed to feel safe and secure and seen, not constantly chasing the next breadcrumb. And avoidants are masters at the breadcrumb game. Not because they're evil, but because that's all they can give. That's the limit of what they're capable of in their current state. And here's where so many people get stuck. They think, if I just hold on a little longer, the breadcrumbs will turn into a feast. If I just love them through this, they'll change. If I just prove I'm safe, they'll finally let me in. But you can't love someone into being something they're not ready to be. You can't prove your way into someone's heart if they've locked the door from the inside. You can stand outside that door for years, knocking, waiting, hoping, and they will still not open it. Because the lock isn't about you. The lock is about them. Sign number 6, they never fight for you. When an avoidant senses that you're slipping away, watch what they do. Or rather, watch what they don't do. They don't chase. They don't apologize. They don't beg for another chance. They just let you go. Quietly, coldly, like it never mattered. And you sit there thinking, did they ever even care? Was any of it real? And the answer is, yes, it was real. But their fear is bigger than their love. Their fear of being vulnerable. Their fear of admitting they need someone. Their fear of being seen wanting something. Because to an avoidant, wanting is weakness. Needing is danger. And asking for someone to stay, that's the most terrifying thing they can imagine. So they'd rather lose you than risk asking you to stay. Read that one more time. They'd rather lose you than risk asking you to stay. And that, my friend, is the saddest part of loving an avoidant. Not that they don't love you, but that they will let love walk out the door rather than say the words that could keep it. Sign number 7. They make intimacy feel like a transaction. Emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, any kind of closeness. With an avoidant, it always comes with a price. A pullback, a retreat, a punishment. You share something deep with them, and the next day, they're distant. You have an incredible night together, and the next morning, they're cold. You tell them you love them, and they go silent for hours. It's like their brain can't hold the closeness for too long. It has to balance it out with distance, like a scale that always has to tip back to safe. And what this does to you over time is brutal. You start to fear connection. You start to dread the good moments because you know the bad moments are coming right after. You start to associate love with anxiety, with waiting, with wondering. And that's not love. That's a trauma loop. And you deserve so much better than a trauma loop dressed up as a relationship. Now I want to talk to you about something really important. Because by this point, some of you are nodding along. Some of you are recognizing yourselves in this story. And some of you are wondering, okay, but what do I do? How do I fix this? How do I get them to love me the way I need to be loved? And I want to be really honest with you, because I think you deserve honesty more than you deserve comfort right now. You can't fix this. You can't fix them. You can't love them out of their avoidance. You can't be patient enough, kind enough, understanding enough, or perfect enough to change someone who isn't ready to change themselves. And the longer you try, the more you lose yourself in the process. So what can you do? You can do the one thing that actually shifts the dynamic. You can stop chasing. You can stop performing. You can stop shrinking. You can stop making yourself smaller to fit into the box of their fear. You can start showing up as the full version of you, with your needs, with your feelings, with your standards, with your boundaries. And here's what happens when you do that. One of two things. Either they wake up. Either they realize what they're about to lose and they finally start doing the work. Or they leave. They run. They confirm everything you were afraid of. And as painful as that second outcome is, it's actually a gift, because now you know. Now you don't have to wonder anymore. Now you can stop wasting your beautiful, precious time on someone who was never going to choose you the way you deserve to be chosen. Sign number 8. They're hot and cold, and they call it normal. This is one of the most disorienting parts of being with an avoidant, the inconsistency. One week they're texting you good morning every day. The next week, nothing. 1 month they're planning weekends together. The next month, they're too busy. And when you try to bring it up, when you try to say, hey, I notice you've been distant. What's going on? They'll either deny it, or they'll get defensive, or they'll flip it on you and make you feel crazy for even noticing. They'll say things like, you're overthinking this, or I've been the same the whole time, or why are you always looking for problems? And slowly you start to doubt your own perception. You start to think, maybe I am overthinking. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I am the problem. But you're not. Your perception is sharp. Your instincts are right. You're feeling the inconsistency because the inconsistency is real. And no amount of gaslighting can change that. The hot and cold isn't a phase. It's the pattern. And patterns don't fix themselves. They get reinforced every time you tolerate them. Sign number 9. They keep one foot in the past. Ask an avoidant about their ex. Watch how they talk about them. Sometimes they'll say their ex was crazy. Sometimes they'll say their ex was the love of their life. Sometimes they'll say they don't even think about their ex. But pay attention, because the past is often where avoidants live emotionally. It's safer than the present. It's safer than the future. It's a place where they can feel feelings without any risk, because the ex can't hurt them anymore. The ex can't ask anything of them. The ex is just a memory, and memories don't require vulnerability. So if you're with someone who seems more emotionally connected to a past they can't change than the present they can build with you, that's a red flag, a big one, because it tells you something important. It tells you they're more comfortable with closed doors than open ones, more comfortable with what's lost than what's possible. And you can't build a future with someone whose heart is still living in the past. Sign number 10. They tell you who they are and you don't listen. This is the one that hurts the most, because most avoidants will actually tell you. They'll say things like, I'm not good at relationships. I have a wall up. I'm not ready for anything serious. I always mess things up. I'm bad at this. And you'll hear those words and you'll think, that's just because they haven't met the right person yet. They haven't met me yet. I'll be different. I'll show them love feels safe. I'll be the one who breaks through. And listen, I understand that impulse, that hope, that belief that your love will be the medicine they need. But here's the brutal truth. They're not asking you to fix them. They're warning you. They're telling you exactly who they are. And the kindest thing you can do for them and for yourself is to believe them. Believe them the first time, not the 10th time after your heart has been broken in ways you didn't know it could break. Believe them the first time they tell you they can't give you what you need, because they know themselves better than you know them. And when someone tells you who they are, the most loving thing you can do for both of you is to listen. So where does this leave you? If you've recognized yourself in any of this, if you've nodded along, if you've felt that ache in your chest, I want you to know something. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not too needy. You are not too emotional. You are someone who has been pouring love into a cup with a hole in the bottom. And it doesn't matter how much love you pour, the cup will never be full. Not because your love isn't enough, but because the cup itself isn't ready to hold it. And the most powerful thing you can do is stop pouring. Not because you don't love them, but because you do love yourself. Because you finally understand that love that costs you yourself isn't love. It's a slow erosion, and you don't have time for slow erosion. You have one beautiful life, one beautiful heart, and it deserves to be held by someone who isn't afraid of it. I want to leave you with something, because I know how it feels to wonder if maybe you're giving up too soon. If maybe with just a little more patience, things could be different. And I want you to ask yourself one question. If nothing changed, if this person stayed exactly the way they are right now for the next 5 years, would you still want to be in this? Would you still be willing to feel this way? Would you still be okay with breadcrumbs and confusion and inconsistency? Because that's what staying actually means. Staying isn't a promise that things will get better. Staying is an agreement to accept how things are. And if how things are isn't enough for you, that's not a flaw. That's wisdom. That's your soul telling you something important. That's the voice inside you that knows you deserve more. Listen to that voice. Trust that voice, because that voice has been trying to protect you this whole time. Loving an avoidant teaches you something profound, even when it breaks your heart. It teaches you that love isn't supposed to feel like a battle. Love isn't supposed to feel like begging. Love isn't supposed to feel like proving. Love is supposed to feel like coming home to someone who's already there, waiting, wanting, choosing you back. And if you're not getting that, it's not because love isn't real. It's because you're trying to get it from someone who isn't ready to give it. And that's not a tragedy. That's information. And information is power. The power to walk away. The power to wait for someone better. The power to come home to yourself first. Because the relationship you have with yourself is the one that determines every other relationship you'll ever have. If you abandon yourself to keep someone who's already half gone, you're teaching yourself that you don't matter, and you do matter. You matter so much. You matter more than you realize. So here's what I want for you. I want you to take a deep breath right now. Wherever you are, whatever you're going through, I want you to put your hand on your chest and feel your heart beating. That heart has carried you through every disappointment, every betrayal, every silent night when you wondered if you'd ever be loved the way you deserve. And it's still beating. It's still here. It's still ready. And one day, when you've stopped chasing people who run, you're going to meet someone who walks toward you. Calmly, confidently, consistently. Someone who doesn't make you doubt. Someone who doesn't make you wait. Someone who looks at you like you're not too much. You're exactly right. And you're going to look back on this version of yourself, the one who tried so hard, who loved so deeply, who held on through so much, and you're going to thank her, or him, for surviving, for not giving up on the dream of real love, for finally believing that you deserve it. That's the version of you that's waiting on the other side of this. The version that no longer accepts crumbs. The version that no longer apologizes for wanting more. The version that knows, deep in her bones, that love is supposed to feel safe. And if it doesn't, it isn't love. It's a lesson. And once you've learned the lesson, you don't have to take the class again. You can graduate. You can move on. You can step into something better. So please, if nothing else from this video lands, let this land. You are not the problem. You never were. You were just trying to love someone who hadn't yet learned how to be loved. And that's not your job to fix. Your job is to love yourself enough to walk toward what's possible, not what's familiar. Because what's familiar might feel like home, but it isn't. Home is peace. Home is presence. Home is someone choosing you again and again without you having to ask. That's what's waiting for you. And it's closer than you think. You just have to stop holding the door open for the person who keeps walking out of it. Close that door gently, bless them, and turn around. Because everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of letting go of what was never really yours to begin with.